So, you know this game, right? It's kind of like Final Fantasy 11, but actually good. It's called Final Fantasy 14, and most of the combat in that game can be broken down into two major elements. Element 1 is your class rotation, e.g. you pressing your big buttons to do the big hurty to the big boss, and 2, the game throwing mechanics at you to make said button pressing harder to achieve. Some mechanics in this game are pretty fun and satisfying to complete, but some, well, let's just say they end up on lists like these. Number 1, stack markers. So, stack markers, they're so outdated at this point, and honestly they just go against everything I fucking believe in. Why do I, as a self-respecting party member, am forced to stand next to a Lalafell for a mechanic? I tend to stay at least 3 meters away from Lalafells at all times. Whatever the fuck they have needs to be controlled under stricter rules than COVID was, okay? Listen up, the only thing that I wanna stack is this paper, not some random people, okay? You're telling me you want me to soak the damage from the boss's AoE fluids? Okay, bestie, whatever you say, babe. Whatever you say. Which boss we talking about though? Cause you know me, you know I can, you know. Number 2, ERP. I am personally in utter disbelief. Some may call it shock that this still hasn't been removed from the game. Tell me one other mechanic that can make me waste over 20 million gil in one night. Like, hello? Yoshida? Fix your fucking game? And no, I don't have a problem. Shut the fuck up. Plus, the barrier for entry is just way too fucking high. Like, what do you mean I need to install 12 different mods, 4 separate clients, spend ungodly amount of gil, and need to have social skills? What the fuck? What the fuck? And do not get me started on climax macros and high-end content. Shit's more complex than the tissue makeup of my left testicle. It's bigger than the right one. And all of that just to still leave people disappointed. Listen, I'm kind of breaking down here. Yoshi, my guy, my brother, listen, brother to brother communication. This mechanic is, it's kind of ruining my life. This isn't a joke video anymore. It's honestly a cry for help. Can you like remove it? Or at least add some other content to distract me? Like please man, I'm begging out here. Yours sincerely, Taylor Swift. Number 3, Larboard and Starboard. Larboard Starboard is a mechanic from my favorite sentient Goku android, which involves players getting blasted from either the left side or the right side of the droid. Theoretically, this should be a very simple endeavor. But in practice, it leaves you hostage for over 50 fucking minutes because Final Fantasy 14 players forfeit their rights to spatial awareness once they start playing the game. In fact, it's actually part of the EULA. You should have read it beforehand. I feel like game mechanics should be catered to their player base, you know, at least to a certain extent. And it's clear that expecting my average party girly pop to tell their rights from their lefts is not a real possibility in this economy. Number 4, counting. This next one goes out to all my raiding homies. It's common knowledge that the average raider is not capable of counting. They can make full calculus spreadsheets for optimizing their rotation, but the second the mechanic requires you to count, they are finished. They are not built for that shit. Counting to 4 is, I admit, quite difficult, but survivable. But then, when they introduced counting to 8, the raiding world hasn't recovered since. Sometimes I wake up from my late afternoon naps, paralyzed by the memories of my diamond weapon escapades. I'd love to see an ultimate called the Countenance of Grimbus's Worry or some shit, where all the mechanics just counting mechanics, and let's see just how far up to 100 they can count. Now that's a world's first race I'd actually watch. My bet is 64, and after that they just start breaking down like a 1966 CPU. Number 5, active time maneuver. The age of the average 14 player is around 67 years old, and their hands are not made for this active maneuver shit at this point. Most are already suffering from late stage arthritis, and it seems like the dev team just wants them to never click again. And let's be real a second, mashing glowing button for dopamine can only trick my brain into hormone secretion so many times before it starts becoming numb to the sensation. Thankfully, it looks like they did stop doing them since the end of Shadowbringers, probably got way too many HIPAA complaints and had to shut down the whole flashing red button factory. But if you want to see me flashing my red belly button, subscribe to my OnlyFans. This month we have the Stung by a Bee and I'm Very Allergic set. Let me know which mechanic you would remove from the game. Personally, Big seems ready shared his job, so he would be the first to go.